an actual policy. Unfortunately, I know it took a long time to put these things together. I just reviewed with my caucus the property tax bill, and unfortunately, I don't think it'll do much to actually lower property taxes. I think it's a Band-Aid, another Band-Aid that is not going to do much, and I don't think people will see actual results. And so that's our concern as a caucus, is that we had a plan that actually delivered immediate relief to people, because we know people are hurting and affordability is important to people now. And unfortunately, this is something that I don't think people will see any relief on.
Do you think this is the way to make sausage?
It's the way it's been made for 20 years I've been around, but unfortunately I think that it is the way this stuff gets done sometimes, and there's some different ideas in the two chambers. I just wish that it had been done in maybe perhaps February or March instead of day 112 or 13 or whatever we're in. So I just, it's the way this stuff gets done, but I think there's more efficient ways to do that, obviously.
Do you have thoughts about what is or is not in the standings bill?
So there's a hodgepodge of bad ideas in the standings bill. There's some good stuff. I mean, they do fund that $3 million on pediatric cancer. That's in the standings bill. And I know we passed language on the vape laws on that, or the vape tax, but this actually puts it in, my understanding is immediately. So that's a good thing. There's some other things in there that some members like, but there's also some language on, the intellectual freedom stuff at Iowa that we find to be completely absurd. There's some civil litigation stuff that is probably pretty bad. I'm unclear exactly what the purpose of that is. And I also saw some repealing of electrical codes in there. That was quite strange to us as to why we'd be doing that, but I think there's a hodgepodge of bad ideas, and unfortunately they've done nothing during the session. I was hoping we'd see something on affordability, maybe putting more money into public education, and we didn't see that. And water quality is a big issue, and I think what they did the other day on water quality is not enough, to be frank with you. And I think people are going to be talking about water quality all summer, public education, and property taxes, and they've done nothing really to address them. It's all been Band-Aids.
What about the budget? I mean, people have been talking about individual parts of the budget, but not the budget.
Yeah, I think the budget as a whole is in serious trouble. When you put them all together and they're spending 1.2, 1.3 billion more than we actually are taking in. And I know there was a reference today on the floor that this was the plan all along. Well, that's kind of scary, because the economy in Iowa, and the farm economy especially, is not getting any better. And so we really have to do something to address this problem moving forward, because those reserves will only last 2 to 3 more years.
For the benefit of the TV cameras, Theodore is asking this, not me. It looks like they're going to pass the abortion bill and get your reaction to that.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. And again, it's another social issue crusade that they're on for no apparent reason. I don't think there is a problem. You heard Dr. Srinivas mention yesterday that black market pills are already illegal. Black market medicine obviously is already illegal. I'm not sure what they're trying to get at here, other than attacking a woman's right to choose.
Can you talk a little bit? I mean, you guys have been here for over 24 hours. There's some people sleeping at their desks. For people at home that are wondering what you guys are doing here this whole time, can you give a little bit of insight as to why you're here for so long?
Well, it's very simple, that, and I don't mean to criticize my counterparts, but the reality is that this is complete mismanagement. They spent months and months and months, again, on kind of weird social issue crusades that really have no meaning to most people in the state. And unfortunately, we should have been focusing on this stuff when the session started, right? And I don't think people really get caught up in process, but the reality is that we're all going on very little sleep. Most of us have been up, at least in leadership, for 36 hours, and it makes absolutely no sense that this is how you make laws for the state. And I guarantee you, because it happens every year, in a couple years somebody will go, oh, how did that get in there? I don't remember doing that. And they'll look back and they'll go, oh, that was in some standings bill or some bill that we did at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's not a great way to make laws, but unfortunately that's how this has shaken out over the last couple of days.
Talking about that, about this standings, 80 page, long property tax bill, how do you review it when probably your LSA workers too are also, drafting this on little sleep? Like, how do you review that the commas are in the right places and there's not some accident mistake in there?
Yeah, we have excellent staff, and so when we get the information, we put it in the hands of the staff. They're obviously very familiar with most of the sections that are in there, and they do a very good job of summarizing it on very little notice. And again, that goes to my concern that are there things in here that maybe they don't completely understand? When you're dealing with a system that's like the property tax system, any small change can have a big effect on some of these communities. And Des Moines always can be able to absorb a lot of this stuff. But you're looking at some of these smaller communities, community colleges, the county hospitals and stuff like that. And, the goal is to lower people's property taxes at the same time that you protect essential services. And I'm not sure that this bill does that. And I think based on what we've seen, because of the lack of time to review, we just don't see it. We don't see how it benefits. And I think Speaker Grassley at one point, a couple weeks ago, had said, well, you might see some incremental change, or, maybe it'll slow the growth or whatever. And that's not what Iowans were looking for. They were looking for an immediate reduction, and that's not what happened.
Your caucus had a lot of amendments to that constitutional amendment on taxes, but you didn't offer very many amendments on a lot of the budget bills. I think in some years the Democrats have offered more amendments on the Health and Human Services budget or the education budget. Can you talk about your thinking on why you didn't offer more budget amendments?
Yeah, it's largely because we feel like there is a priority problem, in that we feel like there's massive overspending, but it's overspending on things that Iowans are not talking about, they don't care about. And so we are looking at things like, okay, is there a way to get through these budgets, take a look at them, and find a way to find something that we can support in these budgets? And sometimes, for example, in the transportation budget, where you're dealing with money that's not in the general fund, but rather through gas taxes, we all supported that because we know that roads need to be fixed. But at the same time, our goal was to basically point out the flaws, to say we would have done things a lot differently. And I'm not a budget expert, so I can't sit here and tell you what that would have been on every individual budget. But at the same time, we have a real problem, and that is an overspending on bad priorities that they have, and that is largely, to be honest, with the ESAs and things like that.
There's a quorum call.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Meyer?
That's what I want to hear, though. I want that.
Yeah, right.
Getting moving over there.
Hey, thanks
The,
for your
Thank you.
availability.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
The pediatric funding in the standings, your understanding of it, is that in addition to them, the vape
It's
tax,
my
or is it
understanding that this
replacing it?
bridges the gap between when the vape tax kicks in and
Oh,
immediate
okay.
funding.
So,
That's my
so if
understanding.
it doesn't hit to
The 3 million.
3 million,
gets
this
them to the
would.
3 million.
Because
That's
the
my
bill
understanding.
passed at 2027.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
this gets them through
Okay.
the fiscal,
If,
next
if,
couple
if
fiscal
the if the revenue doesn't produce what
That's
they-
my understanding.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Brian.